a very special guest here. We've got the author of Loan Sharp here, Rob Warlow, who's sat at the back there, who's come all the way from Cardiff, very kindly, to come and share his story for you today. The reason I wanted Rob to come here today is because he's actually done what I have never met anyone else who's actually done. And he read my book, and he said, well, I was giving a presentation for entrepreneurs, and he came up and said, well, Simon, it's interesting because I actually did go from student to CEO really quickly, and then quit being a CEO of one of the leading banks in the UK in order to be in business. And so Rob's actually been through the whole journey, the whole process, and he's got some really amazing insights which you don't often get, because most people, if you're going to a company presentation, they might be representing their company, they might be sharing from an HR perspective about their company. They might be, you know, a number of different things. You very rarely get someone that's actually been from, and when I say student, he didn't go to, well, I'll save it for Rob later, but he didn't come from the conventional high academic achievers background. He did it the way which I teach in the book. And so I think he's got some really amazing insights. I'm really grateful, and I managed to twist his arm and persuade him to come here today.
When I sat down and read Simon's book, I realised that I'd actually, by mistake more than anything, but a lot of intent along the way, started following some of those steps. And I do wonder, as I said at the beginning, how quickly I could have got to that point if I'd religiously followed these steps. My little journey started when I'd finished my A-levels at 18, and I thought, nah, I can't hack all this university stuff. I've had it up to there with exams. Don't want to do that anymore. Yeah? I wouldn't say I was particularly academically at the top, middle range, but I didn't want to go to university, so I had to go into banking. So very quickly I went through the whole banking examination thing, and then I got that over and done with fairly quickly, and that was fine. But the first job that I had in that bank as the office junior was to make tea in the morning. So I was a tea boy. The best part of the day of that first 6 months was when a new office junior came in, because now it was my turn to hand over the tea list. And that was my first experience of progression. I'd moved up in the world because now I could hand the tea list on to somebody else. So I'd done my bit. And I'd made a connection, which we'll talk about later, which I'll explain about this connection, that I knew back in Uganda, where I'd worked with Barclays, and picked up the phone to this guy and said, he owned a bank. I said, I'm on the market. Do you remember me? Yes, Rob, I remember you. I said, well, I'm on the market, so I'm looking to come back into Africa. And he said, great, I've just sacked my managing director, stroke CEO. Do you want the job? Yeah, okay. And that was the extent of the interview. It was literally a 1-minute phone call, and explained about how I'd set that up. So I'd immediately, within a day or so of deciding I didn't want to go back to the UK, I picked up the phone to this guy and got a managing director's job in a bank on a phone call, which lasted a minute. So it can be done. So I went from T-boy to CEO on a phone call. Everything that I'd done and everything that had happened to me was getting me to that point in September 2009 when I said, I think I've got enough now, got enough knowledge. So I made that bold step of coming back to the UK to start the business that I run now. It's called Business Loan Services. So what I do, I help businesses access finance, whether it's dealing with banks or raising private equity. I also help business owners who've got relationship problems with banks. I said, well, you want to start a business in the middle of a recession? Are you mad? I said, yep, probably. But I know that I'd done enough bold things and all those major turning points that I just knew deep down inside this would work for me. And I just did it. So I came back. Now, when most people drop out of corporate life, you'll find when you get older, and we talked about this, about the connections you build up. Most people in corporate life in the UK, when they decide to start up in business, they start up in the industry, in the niche that they know. And the very last thing they do before they leave, or if they're clever enough in the months before they leave, is furiously copy every email address, every telephone number, every office address that they can. They build up a contact list or a Rolodex or BlackBerry stacked full of contacts. And that's the last thing they... Yeah. I came back on the 5th of December 2009 I landed back in this country after 11 years away, and this is no joke, I knew nobody. Didn't have a clue, had no connections. So what I did in January 2010, 18 months ago, I networked like crazy. Simon mentions in the book something called your reticular activation system, which is just above, apparently, I'm not a doctor, but just above the top of the spine somewhere, hidden in the back of the brain. It's something that once you decide to concentrate on something, suddenly it pops up everywhere. What type of car would you like to buy, Peter? What type of car do you want? What kind of car do you like?
Well,
BM, Audi, whatever? Yeah? Okay. The moment you decide, this is the car I'm going to drive, oh, and by the way, it's going to be red. I'm going to be driving a red Audi one day. What happens the moment you step out onto the street? What do you start seeing everywhere?
Audis.
Red Audis. Yeah? The moment you pick a brand new car from the car show, and it's a really unique car, nobody else has got this car, it's brilliant. Bugger, look, there's one over there. Shit, there's another one over there. They've been around us all the time, we've just never seen them. Sweater, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? How many times have you picked out a dress because it's really unique?
So many times.
Right? And what's happened?
You see them walking on the street.
Absolutely. It's not as special or as unique as you thought it was.
No way.
It's not. And it's the same when you're setting the goals for your life or your business. The moment you set your subconscious the goal of getting there, you start noticing things. Those opportunities and those things were there before. You just never noticed them because you hadn't actually set the task for your mind to start spotting them. Now it sounds a bit little new worldy, but it's not. You just think about it, how many times you've decided to look for things and suddenly you start seeing them around you. They've been there before. They've been there before. You've just started training your brain to spot those opportunities. Have you heard this definition of luck? Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. That's what luck is, when opportunity meets preparation. You've prepared in your inner mind for many years for that moment when the opportunity arrives, and it'll be a split second that you'll have a chance to take hold of that opportunity, and it's gone. But because you prepared yourself and your mind spotted it, you are there to do it. The same opportunity is available to everybody else, but they hadn't planted that seed in their mind about taking hold of that opportunity, and it's gone. Can you get up half an hour early? And what could you do with that half an hour? You could read a chapter of a book. Chapter of a book in that time. So in a month you may have read 2 or 3 books. Your contemporaries won't have read those books. And it's all about training. So how committed are you? If somebody dangles the biggest carrot ever in front of you, are you strong enough to say no? You've had a rejection, would you be strong enough to say no if somebody gave you the job you don't really want? Would you be strong enough to say no? That's what you have to be. You have to be strong enough to say no when the easy route is put in front of you. You've got to say no, that's not right. I know where I want to be, and I know how I'm going to get there. I'm going to stay committed to this route. What you want to become known as is the go-to person within your little industry or your little niche. Where people say, yeah, I don't know how to do it. Go and see Ziggy. I'm sure he'll tell you what to do. Start building up a reputation where people start coming to you because you're seen to be known as that go-to person. Putting out the favors, investing time, because it will come back. So I would say as you're starting out in your early career, make sure that you're starting out with something that really lights that fire inside you. Because if it doesn't, don't do it. Because you'll only play at it. It has to be something that really gets you out of bed at 4 in the morning. Because you're desperate to do it. I was talking earlier with Bliss there, that once you've found that passion, it does not become work anymore. It's beyond work, it's fun. So the good jobs don't get advertised. This is about getting in front of the people where you want to work and start coming up on their radar. Hello? Talking about all the strategies that Simon's talked about with you today. Getting to that point where there is nobody else for that job but you. Because you've been a complete pain in the arse for the previous 18 months or so by being there, by being seen all the time. That's going to get you the cream job. It is not sitting there going through the situations vacant and everything like that. Those are not the plum jobs. The plum jobs are the ones that you create the opportunities for yourself by having put yourself out there, being seen to be different and being seen to be able to add value. That's when you will get the jobs. That will never go through the advertising route. That's the route you need to go to. Now I will challenge you, Simon has picked up, you will go to seminars like this for the rest of your life. Once you get into the information soaking age, you will go to many, many seminars. But the vast majority of people walk out of those seminars rooms and do nothing with the information that they've got. And they will stay behind the same desks as I found my colleagues. The things that will distinguish you from the people who you're competing against is that you will be should be taking action on the things that you've been learning here. Because that is the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. The successful ones do stuff with the information that they learn. After having read Simon's book and heard some of the material, I just wonder, could I have got there a lot quicker than I did? And probably done a lot more than what I did as well, if I'd proactively followed some of the things that you've learned over the last couple of months or so that you've been with Simon.